and welcome to the LL Football Preview Show here on GameTimePA.com. I'm John Buffone, and with me as always is Pat Huggins and Andrew Callahan of the Lebanon Daily News, and we're here to break down three of the most interesting matchups for Week 3 in the Lancaster-Lebanon League. Fellas, let's start off with a game that involves a team in your neck of the woods, Cedar Crest, taking on a team from my neck of the woods, Manheim Central. Now, Central came up short against Hempfield last week, 10-3. Not a lot of explosive offensive firepower, but they were also without Damon Camacho, their lead running back. Dylan Nelson filled in admirably, over 80 yards on the ground. But if Camacho can come back this week, that'd be a big upgrade for Central. Crest, on the other hand, is going to try to, withhold or withstand that offensive firepower from Manheim Central. Where do you see this going?
It's going to be a tough matchup for Cedar Crest. They struggled a little bit with Lower Dolphin last week. They kept it close for a little bit, but ended up losing 35-13. And I think since obviously a good performance for the Falcons Week 1 against Lebanon, but big step up in competition last week with Lower Dolphin, and I think kind of the same thing this week. So you're right; they're going to have to withstand Central's ground game, and we'll see if they can do it.
It's going to be very interesting because Cedar Crest in the preseason, we saw demonstrated in Week 1, talked about their strengths this year is up front, both offensively and defensively, and that's where it's got to start against the Barons. Even if that goes to an even draw, then you've got to drop some explosive plays. Now, Justice Bellman has been outstanding out of the backfield for the Falcons so far, 94 yards against Lower Dolphin. But the passing game with Stevie Rhoda, just in his second start at quarterback, was 5-15. Again, Lower Dolphin, a very good team, but they're going to need to manufacture something out of one of those two guys in order to get going if they want to hope to spring what you'd anticipate to be an upset at home, Central taking last year's matchup 42-3. I think it'll be a good game because we mentioned Cedar Crest strength matches up with the Barons in the trenches, but outside is where things will be determined that, as it stands now, might not play out so well for Cedar Crest.
That's another Section 1, Section 2 crossover game. That'd be the last. This is the last week for Section 1, Section 2 crossover games before we get into Section play. Let's switch gears. Let's go back into the Lancaster County where it's the Lampeter Bowl in Week 3 where Conestoga Valley will travel to Lampeter-Strasburg. Both teams are 1-1 coming into this game. Both have shown that they have big playability on offense. Conestoga Valley's quarterback Grant Stoltzfus has passed for over 670 yards in 2 games, 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception. The problem with the Buckskins offense is their ground game, however, only 21 yards against Solanco last week in a 30-point loss to the Mules. So this game could come down to who makes a timely stop because LS got back on the right track last week with a 20-7 win over Penn Manor. Bear Shank threw for over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, so they're starting to click a little bit more offensively. Both teams have shown that they can get the big play on offense. Both of them somewhat struggling on defense a little bit. This could come down to who makes a timely defensive stop, or if it's a shootout, who has the ball last. Don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I think. In this one, I would like LS based on what they played the first 2 weeks. 2 Section 1 teams, Hempfield and Penn Manor. I think prepares them well for this game. Nothing against CV, but I think they might be a little better equipped for this showdown than Conestoga Valley.
Yeah, I'm going to lean with Pat on this one. I think that game against Solanco was going to be a tough blow and going to be a lot to come back for. And, there's going to be extra excitement with the Lampeter Bowl, but ultimately I think it's just going to be too much with that preparation and that LS is going to be ready to go.
All right, gentlemen, the final game that we're going to talk about is 2 teams in your neck of the woods. We got Elco and Lebanon, 2 teams that would love to pick up a win here in Week 3. How do you guys see this one going down?
Yeah, somebody's getting a win here, 2-0-2 teams, that have shown some good things the first 2 weeks. I was actually pretty impressed with Elco last week against Palmar. I think Palmar is a good club, and Elco battled them pretty well after falling behind early by 10-0 and 23-7. So I would lean toward Elco in this one. I think they found some things last week, and even in a loss to Palmar, and I think they can build on that for this week. Another interesting sidelight to the game. It's always it is again this year an autism awareness fundraiser that started several years back with Coach Janchik, and then Elco coach Mark Evans now at Manheim Township, and they'll be doing that again. So nice extra part of that game as well.
I've seen Lebanon the last 2 weeks, and it's been tough for them. I think you see explosive plays at times, but then the mistakes they're making are very fundamental, and I think that'll be too much to overcome for them. Going to Elco, which you said has got a little bit of momentum going from a tough opener against Hamburg, a close game at Palmyra. Now they're coming home. They see a first win in sight, and I think they're going to be able to capture it. I mean, Lebanon had a good start against Northern Lebanon last week, but then gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown in the second straight game. Malik Hunter can make some plays. Their O-line has had good spots, but overall they haven't been able to put it together yet. And talking with Janchuk after the game, he says, it's got to be everyone together, and you really haven't seen that so much from the Cedars. I think it could be close for a while, but ultimately Elco's going to come out on top.
Well, there you have it. 3 of the most interesting matchups in the LL for Week 3. Be sure to follow us all on Facebook and Twitter for updates on your favorite game. So until next time, I'm John Buffone for Pat Huggins and Andrew Callahan. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the games.